Lydia Daydoff, Fight Connect TV. We are here at BT Sports Studio in London. I'm delighted to be joined by the one, the only Hall of Fame promoter, Frank Warren, and we are proudly sponsored by ESBC and in association with Empire Fight Store. Frank, how are we feeling?
I'm feeling good. How are you feeling after that mouthful?
Have to get the sponsors in. You know how it is, right?
That's where they pay the bills.
Absolutely do. Listen, another great press conference with all the guys there today.
Yeah, they all did well. They're all young guys. They're all up and coming young fighters, and it's good to see them in this setting. And hopefully that's going to carry on for many years with them. Some good young fighters, some of the best in British and Irish boxing. And I'm looking forward to Saturday's show. Some competitive fights there, and a couple of guys who I think are going to make their mark and go on to do bigger and better things.
You know, when you do a lot of fight weeks, especially from a media perspective, when you see a big production like this, you know, with the backing of BT Sport, you know, with the reputation that Frank Warren and Queensberry hold, you see the guys kind of perk up a little bit. They feel like they're, you know, that they've arrived, they've come here, and you know, it kind of goes towards them wanting to put on a big display on their fight night.
That's very kind of you to say that, and I believe they will. I mean, they all know this is a great platform for them on Saturday night, and as I say, there's some good fights there, but we've got some really good, exceptional young talent on the card, and I am as I say, I'm looking forward to it. There's some real competitive fights, and it's going to be interesting. It's really hard to pick the one standout fight out of them. Yeah. You know, those four championship fights have got fight written all over them. There's a case for each, you know, for both sides of the card. So I really do think I think Hams is in a position where he can go and make a statement. I think young Dennis is in a position where he can make a statement albeit against a tough guy in James Beach who really thinks that he's got the beating of him. You know, with Hamza, he's in with a guy who fought Benvenitez last time out, got a draw. Benvenitez 27 wins and 1 loss up till then. You know, and everybody knows who he is in boxing. So, you know, that's for him to beat the guy. Absolutely. And do it in style will be a statement. Got Dennis McCann. You know, that's a
character. A character,
unbelievable
right?
character, yeah, unbelievable character, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in action. And Nick Ball against Namibian young Nathaniel. Well, I don't know if he's young or not, but Nathaniel. That looks a good fight. And it's funny, when they were shaping up for the photographers, I mean, he wasn't head and shoulders above him, he was head and chest above him. So there's quite a big height disparity there, and it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
It is, and you know, I just had a word with Nick there, and I said to him, you know, the last time I spoke to him was obviously at Wembley, and he went into that fight a bit of an underdog. People were using his size as a disadvantage to him, and when he put on that performance, Isaac Lowe is a tough, durable contender. You know, and I just said to him, you quietened a few mouths, so we say, in that performance.
He did, and Isaac, you know, hats off to Isaac as well. I mean, I thought that was all going to be over fairly early because he jumped on him, but he kept that pace up throughout the fight, and Isaac came back a couple of times. You know, tremendous fighting heart, but Nick, you know, got himself on made advantage of that platform and got himself noticed on a massive card, the biggest card this country's ever seen, biggest audience. So he's done well for himself. So now he's got to move on from that on to the next one in what it looks like it's going to be an awkward fight for him.
Absolutely. And listen, not taken away from Saturday night, of course, because we are extremely excited for that, but let's briefly talk about Wembley, because I had the great honour of attending that event, and you know, I've covered this sport for many years, and I got almost like a childlike remembrance of why I love boxing. It's being there, seeing that crowd, feeling that audience, the walkouts, the production, everything. For you, I mean, you've had so many big fight nights. What was it like to witness that? Did it spark anything in you?
Yeah, absolutely it did. I mean, I think as we left, we came out and I was in the car, said, and I can't remember if somebody shouted out the window from one of who worked for one of our competitors, and I just shouted out, "Top that." And that's how it was, you know. You had to go, how are you going to top that? It was phenomenal. It was great, and it was really good to do it with, you know, the best heavyweight who I've ever worked with, and certainly the best heavyweight of his generation in Tyson. It was brilliant.
Absolutely, it was an incredible week, not only in night, it was an incredible week for all of us there. But, you know, when we look at Queensberry, when we look at what you've done in this sport, when we look at the new guys that are here today and the opportunities that you're putting in front of them, what does Queensberry look for when it's signing a new fighter? Like, what is the package that you need to have to get you to take notice?
I like to meet the fighter, obviously, and I want to sit down and talk with them. And you get a buzz, you know. I mean, listen, it doesn't always work out. Don't get me wrong, but you sit down and you talk to them, and you get a vibe off of them and a feeling of what they're about. And some are shy, some are, you know, full of themselves. They're all different characters, but you sort of feel that sort of bit of steeliness in them. You know, that bit of what they're all about, and that's sort of in general with the fighters that we're involved with, you know, that the youngsters we're involved with. And some of them, you know, they more than tick the box, and I can be a bit biased then. I sort of like, well, we're going with him, he's the one I fancy. And I do that, and, you know, I get it right sometimes. Occasionally I've got it wrong, and occasionally, not that I've got it wrong, maybe that the fighters, well, what I've got wrong about it is what I felt that what their commitment was going to be. And you see some guys who just don't do what they should do, and that's where, like, you know, Saturday night is so much, and I know I'm going to repeat myself, so much all about what two fighters in particular on that card have shown me in Hamza, how they invested in themselves, how meticulous they are with their preparation. Dennis, pennies dropped with him. He's really, really on the money now. I'm going to say the same with Nick as well. You know, and they've all got good trainers. I mean, they don't do it on their own, and teams around them. But you know, when you see that, then it's a joy to be involved with them. It's a joy to see them in the ring, to see them doing what they're capable of, or seeing what they're capable of doing. But I've got a lot of belief in them, and I think they're all going to come through.
Absolutely. And final question before I let you go, because a lot of our audience that watch this, they're young boxing fans, young sports fans, and a lot of young fighters that watch this as well. So on the note of signing up this new talent, you've seen it all, you've worked with many characters over the years. What bit of advice would you give to a young up-and-coming fighter?
Dangerous business, very dangerous business. You can't miss a bout of it. It's the toughest profession of all. And if you're going to do it, you got to commit yourself. Talent gets you that far.
Yes.
The rest is about dedication, and if you're dedicated, you can do it. Amazing. Otherwise, don't waste your time, because it's dangerous, and don't waste everybody else's time.
Listen, couldn't have said better myself. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Frank Warren for Fight Connect TV.